In the words of Nigerian parents who scold their kids after getting a B+ on their report card, what kind of madness is this? Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Observant Lineman. I am your Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri. Now, this story for me is going to be one that's a bit more close to home. As a Nigerian, as a fellow offensive lineman, this story with Kelechi Osemele has been making the rounds in the football news world, mainly because of the idiocy of the New York Jets. Now, let's get into this article. After an 8-day standoff with Kelechi Osemele, New York Jets decided to release the former Pro Bowl guard who filed an injury grievance last week against the team, but the battle's not over. Now, to fill you in on this situation, Kelechi, basically how this played out, he's been playing with an injury for quite a while, a pre-existing injury, a torn labrum in his shoulder. And if you know anything about shoulder injuries, the torn labrum is a very difficult injury to deal with. Me, myself, I've had a torn labrum. Actually, I have a torn labrum, partially torn in my left shoulder, fully torn in my right shoulder. Still haven't had surgery on it, but it does provide you with a number of specific challenges when you're on the football field. One of them being the ability to raise your arm above your head. As you can see, that's as high as I can get my arm. That's my right arm. That's as high as I can get my right arm. That's from the result of a torn labrum and a partially torn rotator cuff. Now, in his situation, Kelechi, who was a Nigerian player, and I give him big ups for that because we got to stick together. But Kelechi went to 3 different doctors who all recommended that he get surgery as he has a labrum that is torn off of the bone. Now, I think this goes directly into a lot of the things that we talk about on my channel when it comes to football and how the NFL and how the culture of these teams, these organizations, doesn't allow the player to truly look after themselves and look after their own safety as a player on the field and off the field, both during their career and after their career. And this is a situation that, unfortunately, the Jets were foolish enough to make the decision to cut a guy who was doing what was best for his body, for his own health. And as we read in this article, there's a lot that went on with the situation for Kelechi that doesn't make sense from a standpoint of just reasonable logic for any team who has any kind of value for the players on their roster. Now, after he went and visited 3 doctors who all recommended that he have surgery, he went and had the surgery. And the Jets did not actually allow him to get that surgery with their permission, so he was fined for an unexcused absence. And once they knew that he had the surgery, a few days later, they decided to release him. Now, Andrew Kessler, who is Osemele's agent, said in a statement that they will continue with the grievance process in an attempt to have Osemele's fines rescinded. The Jets had been fining him for conduct detrimental to the team because he refused to practice and underwent unauthorized shoulder surgery Friday. Osemele was being fined the maximum amount allowed under the collective bargaining agreement. In his case, it was $579,000 per week, the amount of each game check. So the guy was getting charged and fined almost $600,000 a week for not practicing. And, look, I can see where part of this comes from in his culture, in our culture as Nigerian athletes, as Nigerian kids, first generation Nigerian kids. Our parents always tell us to look out for ourselves when dealing with others in society. My dad always said, no one is going to give you anything. You go and get what you can get by working hard and doing everything you can to be the best at what you do. And thus, part of that is making sure that you take care of yourself. Now, this all kind of falls back into the culture of football and playing through pain. So here we have a quote out of an article that we're going to take a look at after this. Kelechi says, once it stops working, what do I do? Take Vicodin? Where's the line? How much should a player play through pain? What is the limit? Is there a limit? Toradol every day? Does my health not matter? And, you know, these are very true statements. These are statements that are profound in the fact that they directly question, where does it end once you submit to that culture of just play through the pain? You know where it ends? It ends with you not being able to lift your right shoulder over your head. You know, your right arm over your head. Now, again, you know, the Jets obviously are having a terrible season. The Jets look like a franchise that has no direction. It has no idea how it's going to move forward. And that probably had a part in the decision for Kelechi to go ahead and get this surgery done and start preparing his body to work well next year. He's played long enough with the injury to know that at this point, with a team that's, you know, basically at the bottom of the NFL outside of the Cincinnati Bengals, you know, he needs to start getting himself ready to play either here with the Jets in the next season or play somewhere else. And obviously now we know the answer to that situation. Osemele was due to make $5.2 million over the final 9 weeks of the season. His base pay for 2019 was to be $9.85 million. The Jets had no comment on the release. They have yet to comment since the dispute came to light last week when Osemele revealed that he had a torn labrum and needed immediate surgery because he couldn't play in pain any longer. The Jets could have placed Osemele on injured reserve, but they opted to cut ties completely. Because of injuries at linebacker, they needed a roster spot. They used it to sign linebacker James Burgess from the practice squad. It would have been questionable roster management if they had kept Osemele, an injured player, on the 53-man roster. Early Saturday, the Jets downgraded him to out from doubtful against the Jaguars. Also Saturday, Osemele's agents told ESPN that the surgery went well, but damage to the shoulder was more extensive than anticipated. Osemele's representatives and the NFL Players Association are now considering specific actions against the Jets' team doctors for violations of the state medical board regulations. So this goes even deeper than what we have seen that has been released out into the general public. Now, in this article, Osemele says the Jets sent blank MRIs to doctors as shoulder saga takes another crazy twist. Now, in this entire standoff, it was all about an injury to a player not being able to play through that injury and deciding to do what's best for his body and his health and getting getting some surgery on his shoulder, and a team lashing out against him because of him doing what he deems to be best for his body and releasing him, cutting him. And that in and of itself is bad enough, right? That is bad enough, a bad enough look for the New York Jets that they would cut a player for doing what is right, for listening to his body and knowing that he can't play under those circumstances and getting surgery. Now, what do they do to make this even worse? How could the Jets make themselves look even worse? And it comes out that their team doctors sent blank MRIs to the doctors that he was going and getting second opinions and third opinions from, which is clearly an action that sabotages any kind of knowledge and information gathering that these doctors needed to have in order to make an accurate diagnosis as to what the next move should be for Kelechi. Kelechi Osemele's standoff with the Jets took another strange turn when the two-time Pro Bowl guard revealed Wednesday that after getting a third opinion this week, he will have surgery Friday to repair a torn labrum. Osemele also said general manager Joe Douglas admitted that the team inadvertently sent blank and wrong MRI images to doctors when the player was seeking an independent second opinion. To make matters weirder, Osemele conveyed that the Jets team doctor said that he should have surgery now if he's in pain. However, the Jets had yet to authorize the surgery as of Wednesday afternoon. The conflict is that the team does not think that I'm in pain, said Osemele, who is fined the maximum amount by the team every day he doesn't practice. It's a jarring statement giving the heightened importance on player safety. Osemele has filed a grievance with the group to recoup the money lost through fines. This is a situation that just plays into a lot of the things that I've talked about on my channel. The NFL and the culture of how these teams operate is set up in such a hierarchy that anybody who is not in a true decision-making position is scared and is hesitant to allow somebody like Kelechi Osemele, who's an offensive lineman, a position that is well documented at how little people understand and perceive the injuries and the pain that offensive linemen deal with. And a lot of linemen in the NFL are playing with hurt body parts. And that's not an exaggeration by any, they're playing with true injuries. I played multiple seasons with a partial tear in my labrum. I played multiple seasons with a torn meniscus, played multiple seasons with torn cartilage in my right knee. And, back when I played, which, was 5 years ago, that was the norm. Like, it was expected that as an offensive lineman that it doesn't matter what kind of injuries you have, unless something is literally broken, and it'd have to be like your legs, because even if your hand's broken, you're still going out there and playing. Unless something is severely wrong that would keep any player from playing instantly, there's not even a look at an offensive lineman on the injury report. You rarely get a look at offensive linemen on the injury report with injuries, the same kind of injuries you see from receivers, from linebackers, from running backs. Never. A tweaked ankle, a sprained ankle means nothing. I played with a high ankle sprain. Didn't get a practice off, didn't get a day off. They don't care about the health of their offensive linemen, because for a lot of these teams, we're interchangeable on the offensive line than any other position on the field. And it's quite the opposite in reality. Reality of it is we're the most important part of the team who gets treated the worst. That's really the reality of it. So Kelechi's decided to take control of the situation, and I applaud him for that. And I think that for anybody who is in a situation that directly is going to directly affect their ability to perform, then they need to think about what is the logical move to make in order to secure yourself and your future. And in this situation, he followed these three doctors' opinions and said, I'm going to get the surgery done. And again, he says it here. I'm 30 years old. Let's be realistic about this. I'm in a lot of pain. My tolerance isn't probably the same as it used to be, but I can't go. I just can't go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this situation. I can't lift my arm. It just hurts. This guy is in pain. He can't play through this kind of crap, and he will not. And the Jets have taken that vindictive mentality, which many teams will, and they have punished him for doing what's right to his body. So I think this is this could turn into a very ugly situation. It's already ugly, but it could turn into an even more just ridiculous and despicable situation on the part of the New York Jets, because this is quite the opposite of what the NFL has been trying to strive for with player safety. And again, like I said, it just goes to show that in this league, they don't really care about your health. They care about players being on the field. They care about wins, and they care about saving their own necks. The Jets are a 1-6 team right now. It doesn't look good for them, and it doesn't look good for a lot of people on that staff. So, and that includes the general manager. So, this is a situation that could be transformative for the Jets organization, because it is a black eye, one that they have, you know, in the likes of one that they haven't seen in a very long time. So we will see how this plays out, but I'm definitely rooting for Kelechi, my Nigerian brother. I'd love to get you on my show, on one of my live podcasts. So I will definitely try and reach out to this guy and see if I can't get a hold of him and get some words from him myself. But hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to The Observant Lineman. I am Uche Nwaneri. I appreciate everybody who shows support on my channel. I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.